The special City Council meeting of January 30th, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. We have a quorum, so I'll call this meeting to order, and if you will join me in the pledge to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And since there are no pastors or ministers here, will you join me in a moment of silence, please? Thank you. The purpose of this meeting is as follows. Fiscal year 17 CDBG annual performance report and request for funding presentations for fiscal year 19. We're going to conduct a public meeting on CDBG annual performance report for fiscal year 17 and provide a forum to hear requests for grants for fiscal year 19 from various organizations. Next, there will be public comment. As this is a special meeting, comments from the public must relate directly to agenda items. Mr. City Manager?
Sir, I think you've said it all.
Start.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this special meeting tonight is to provide the public with a performance review of the city's CDBG program for fiscal year 16 and 17, and to allow presentations from agencies seeking funding for fiscal year 18 and 19. This meeting begins the process of developing the city's annual action plan. This plan states how federal funds received from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, and Home Consortium for the fiscal year 2018-19 will be utilized. No decisions on funding are being made at tonight's meeting. Tonight's meeting has two sections. Section 1 is our annual performance report. We will cover how CDBG program was managed and the programs funded with CDBG funds during 16-17. The performance report and review is one of many HUD requirements for receiving and managing funds. Since we also manage state housing initiative partnerships that are known as SHIP, funds received from the state and home funds through Brevard County. A review of these grants will be included in our presentation tonight. Section 2, requests for funds. Council will hear from those organizations who are requesting funding for 18-19. The Neighborhood Services Department advertised and forwarded requests for proposals to several agencies in November. In your packets, you will find the listing of the applicants and their order of the presentations tonight. Now I'd like to present the Neighborhood Services Annual Performance Report. Neighborhood Services Department manages and oversees the city's federal and state grant programs. We provide services for housing programs and infrastructure improvements throughout the city. This is how we are located on our organizational chart. What is our mission? Community development programs are not just about fixing houses, they're also about providing public service and sound economics. We provide support services and serve to maintain economic stability of neighborhoods. Our goals and objectives are to ensure programs are appropriate to the community needs, to consider the history, the needs, and the demographics, the economics, and the housing stock, and finally, design programs that address needs related to neighborhood revitalization. Our revitalization objectives focus on resources small and targeted areas to achieve visible results, addressing rehabilitation programs, facade improvement programs, housing replacement, redevelopment, capital improvements, and economic development programs. We focus on preserving and retaining the existing housing stock. We do housing rehabilitation, emergency repairs, historic preservation. We serve the citizens, focus on diverse range of programs to create lead-safe housing units, making emergency repairs to prevent displacement, improve infrastructure, some of our housing objectives are to prevent moderately declining neighborhoods in our target areas from further deterioration, provide safe and efficient housing, stimulate broad interest, and partner with other programs for maximum impact. Our methods of implementation is to understand community needs, prepare a consolidated plan, conduct surveys, listen to program participants and housing delivery partners with residents, community leaders, and know the conditions and availability of the housing stock. We put our goals and objectives in writing. We review goals and objectives periodically, and we undertake initiatives that are compatible with the mission and reject those that are not. For change, we monitor both met and unmet needs. We secure support for activities, secure community support, which is very important. We meet with the property owners, and we target programs to the right market and properties. Our available resources and constraints is to analyze organizational staffing and inventory of potential partners. Grants. We work out of Community Development Block Grant, known as the CDBG program, the Home Investment Program, SHIP, and NSP. Community Development Block Grant is federal funds that come to us. It allows up to 15% for public services. The maximum is 20% for administration. 70% of our funds must be used to serve low, moderate income persons and can be used for housing, economic development, infrastructure, parks, code enforcement, public services, and clearance activities. Federal funds dispersed through the Brevard County Home Consortium is 15% that must be set aside for CHOTO, up to 10% allowed for administration. Funds can only be used for housing activities and requires a 25% match from non-federal grants. Our SHIP program is state funded. That's a maximum of 10% allowed for administration, 30% set aside for low income, 30% set aside for very low income, 65% for home ownership activities, 75% for housing rehab construction, 20% goes to special needs population, and funds are used to provide 25% match for home program. Available revenues from fiscal year 16-17 was a little over $600,000. The funds expended in fiscal year 16-17 was a little over $372,000.
If I could just make a comment here, you'll notice that it shows a balance of funds. That's because projects often take more than 1 year. So those funds, while they have not been spent, have been encumbered.
The 16-17 CDBG Public Services programs completed last year was Meals on Wheels, Early Learning Coalition, North Brevard Charities, the Women's Center, and Community Treatment Center. Also, projects completed were street improvement programs, the neighborhood improvement through code enforcement program, and administration. The housing rehab program completed 7 homes. And the tenant assistance program was put towards homeless prevention, and we served 5 families there. The neighborhood revitalization program included street improvement, sidewalk, and code enforcement NICE program, and then the housing programs. That concludes our annual performance report. At this time, if there's any comments from the public?
Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
Back to the slide where it shows the Meals on Wheels Early Learning Coalition. Do you guys have the information? I remember last year when we were budgeting for this about the matching funds and the percentages. Do you have that tonight? It's okay if you don't. I was just curious.
We can get that for you.
Okay. That might be helpful just in the future. Thank you.
Yep.
Any comments or questions from the public? I see none.
Okay, so we're going to move on to section 2, which is the consolidated plan strategies. We sustain, support, and provide and create suitable and affordable housing opportunities to include housing for special needs and homeless. We provide support and public services and provide infrastructure and neighborhood improvements in low-income target areas that will improve the overall quality of life and enhance the aesthetic character of the area. We also enhance safety and sustainability and support neighborhood-based organizations and groups to create community unity. This has been our 10-year history. And we're going to go over the breakdown of the proposed 1819 CDBG program. Estimated grant allocation is over $276,000, with the 20% cap for administration. CDBG Public Services is the 15%. Projects was $180,000. For home 1819, these are based on this year's allocation, so it's estimated close to $95,000 with administration. The CHOTO set aside at 15%. Housing programs. And then this year, the breakdown of fiscal 1819 youth programs from general funds at $30,000. Before we hear from our agencies this evening on their request for the fiscal year 1819 funding, I would like to go over, the packets that were provided to you. They're in order as to the way the agencies will be presenting. Each agency here tonight has responded to the request for proposals in your packet, and each agency is allowed a maximum of 5 minutes for their presentation. So at this time, we will hear from the agencies.
And who's first? Here we go.
You ready?
Oh, you might want to give her the clicker.
Yeah, I don't have a presentation. I've got my little piece of paper.
Okay. 180 wants it.
Okay? Hi, I'm Paula Schroeder. I'm with Aging Matters in Brevard, and I am the grant writer communications manager for the Brevard Senior Nutrition Program, which includes Meals on Wheels and Seniors at Lunch. And also in our audience tonight is our CEO, Cindy Flackmeyer, who you probably all know. She's a resident of Titusville. One of the things that the city of Titusville, E.B. and Terry went over this year is that we are to expand our service. We've been providing Meals on Wheels, home-delivered meals, and also congregate dining, Seniors at Lunch, in the city of Titusville for many years with support from the city of Titusville. And this year, we're proposing a little addition to that. We're going to keep delivering Meals on Wheels. We're going to keep doing the Seniors at Lunch program at St. James AME. But we're proposing this year that we add funding for holiday food. We were closed over a 4-day weekend for Thanksgiving, another 4-day weekend for Christmas. This happens pretty much every year. We have to give our staff some time off as well, our drivers and our cooks and our administrators. And funding for this would provide food, shelf-stable food, packaged food, for those seniors who truly do not have anything on the shelf. They rely on those home-delivered Meals on Wheels, and many of the people who come to Seniors at Lunch also rely on that meal on a daily basis during the week. So this funding would help support the purchase of food that could be delivered to those folks over the holiday periods. And we'd also like to add one Saturday meal per month. You might think it doesn't sound like much, and it really is, though. We had a volunteer, we did a Saturday lunch in the Cocoa area last week, and one of the volunteers came back, I mean, literally with tears in his eyes, and he said, "There's one lady who told me she didn't realize she was getting a Saturday meal, and she had saved food, from her Thursday and Friday meals, so she'd have something to eat over the weekend." And this is the reality of a lot of the folks that we serve. And we want to make sure that they not only get that nutrition, but get the visit from the volunteer. Live human being comes to your house, makes sure you're doing okay, and gives you a smile. We call it the eyes and ears of the community. So if we can do that one Saturday a month, that really helps boost the nutrition and also just alleviates that loneliness. Another aspect of our request applies to those people who are not able to eat the meals that we prepare because they have special dietary needs. We prepare all of our meals at our kitchen in Cocoa. It's the same thing. Everybody gets the same thing, whether you're at Seniors at Lunch or Meals on Wheels. But we have some people who are diabetic, some people who have kidney disease, some people with cardiovascular disease. And they are served by we have case managers that manage their services, but they get frozen meals twice a month. And it's delivered to their door. But this would allow us to help supplement the cost of those frozen meals and also send a volunteer to look in on them once a week. Once a week, I think we said in our proposal. So it would expand the existing program. We do continue to get our funding through the Older Americans Act. Brevard County has stepped up and provided some funding so we can continue our regular service, but add on these additionals with the CDBG funds that we're requesting for next year.
Any questions?
No? All right.
You don't see any.
Thank
I do
you.
have a question. I had read that at one point the county had cut funding for your organization.
Well, what happened was it's a process that I think there's about 15 agencies apply for county funding, and there's a citizens advisory board that ranks all the requests. And we did not rank high enough this year. This was the first time, I don't know, Cindy, in 15 years that we did not get funding. So The county commissioners were concerned about that. They discussed it. They decided that they really wanted to keep funding Meals on Wheels. So they, outside of that CBO process, decided to add a budget line item from the general fund to fund the Meals on Wheels throughout the county.
That's great, because
Yeah.
you do a great job.
Thank you.
went
Well,
around-
thank my CEO for that.
Thank you. I went around, and it's very touching to see the appreciation in the people's eyes
Yeah.
as you give them the meals and so
It's-
forth. So,
It's
Any-
overwhelming and important. Yeah.
certainly. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next presenter this evening will be North Brevard Charities Sharing Center. Mr. Joe Robinson.
Good evening, friends and city council, mayor, council members, the attorney. Wonderful to see you all again. Happy New Year. And we have started a new year, and we got new challenges ahead of us. And I want to first of all thank you. I'm Joe Robinson, North Brevard Charities, executive director for pretty near a lifetime, 21 years. And we continue to move forward to try to do things. And I want to thank you for all of the assistance that you've given my board of directors and I and the team at North Brevard Charities over the years to try to make a difference within our community. And I know my board, the same, send you their thank you and appreciation for what you do. This year we are trying to continue to move forward to address some of the things that are happening within our community. And I thought back, again, I've been in the helping field of efforts for many years. And there was an old JTPA program, some of you may remember from the 70s. And it was a youth training program where they got some funds to help support their families and so forth, take some of the pressure off of the parents. So I thought about that, and I went through my mind, being that I came up when that. It was kind of like the Boys and Girls Club, something very similar to that. So this year, instead of continually going to our Safe House, our Clean House program, which is going very well, that you're funding from 17 to 18, helping to fund that, we're going to try to and do some more things at the Harry T. Moore Center and bring a youth tutoring program where the youth tutor the youth. And we give where the seniors, juniors, and the seniors in high school and the freshmen in college can get a stipend for help training the ninth graders and the 10th graders who grades are below a certain area, and teach them responsibility and leadership. And that is a program that we want to try to bring online and try to soliciting your support for that, because the youth think they know everything. Let's see if they do. And with some leadership, I have a little leadership background in my past. I went through one or two leadership programs. And we want to try to incorporate it, teach them how to lead, teach them how to care, and at the same time to give them some responsibility to their fellow man, so to speak, and so that they can help the people who are not doing so well in school bring their grades up, and they will be measured, and it will be measurable outcomes. And we're asking for your support in that endeavor this year. Or year of 2018-19. And I think, wow, man, time is passing.
Really?
So that's what we're trying to do now, and it's a new program, different from, we went from helping hands, helping the families get on their feet. We're now doing the Clean House program, helping to clean people up from some types of addictions that they have. And now we want to try to ensure that the youth are helping the youth move forward academically and as far as responsibility and leadership. that's our program that we propose to you this year. Thank you for your time, and thank you for all that you do in the city of Titusville.
And thank you too, Joe. Any questions from council?
I was just going to say, Joe, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, let the kids help the kids because both of them are learning.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Thanks.
That's the goal. All right.
Any-
It worked when I was young. Wow. It may work again.
Since there aren't any members of the public, I don't think to make comment, but that's okay. Next.
Thank you. Our next presenter will be South Brevard Women's Center.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council. My name is Jennifer Garino, and I am the Director of Titusville Services for the Women's Center in the Titusville community. The Women's Center strives to address the needs of women and their families through our mission to assist in creating safe, healthy, self-sufficient lives and through support, education, advocacy. We have had a formalized victim advocacy program since 1997 and have been serving our Titusville community since 2010. Our Safe House received its first residents in 2012 and continues up to this point to receive residents in our Safe House. Our domestic violence services program in North Brevard meets the national objectives by providing services to low-income persons, including limited clientele group of battered spouses who may also be homeless or who are in need of independent and self-sufficient assistance and advocacy. The program addresses the City of Titusville's consolidated plan strategies of providing public services which encourage self-sufficiency among adults, specifically women who have left a violent home and need to become independent, and also providing housing for a portion of women and their children who've become homeless as a result of their crisis. We follow our clients and measure success. We're able to assist them and measure their success as far as feeling safe in their lives, less violence occurring in their lives, living in environments that are healthy and safe, self-sufficiency, empowerment. And we do have intervals that we check in with our clients to see and assess how they are doing in their lives. We have measurable goals. Our Safe House, actually, I noticed a little error on our proposal here. The Safe House actually has 12 available beds for women and their families. And during our reporting period, the program will provide shelter at our facility or at another secure location, such as a hotel, and accompanying comprehensive services to 22 families. This is an increase of 3 families over our 2017 contract year goals. Additionally, 750 domestic and interpersonal violence victims will be provided a variety of services to meet their individual needs, including safety planning, case management, counseling services, basic needs services, and of course, our victim advocacy. I'm here tonight with two victim advocates in our Titusville office, Cynthia Harris and Kari Warren, domestic violence and sexual assault victim service advocates. We also provide financial assistance to help them toward a safe, healthy, and self-sufficient lives. And this increase is of 100 individuals over our 2017 contract year goals. And finally, the funding provided by the City of Titusville CDBG grant will support direct client services for victims of domestic or interpersonal violence, whether they are living in a safe house, a hotel when the safe house is full, or our clients not requiring housing and operational costs of the safe house. The Women's Center is respectfully requesting $15,000 in support of the Domestic Violence Services Program. This request is 0.6% of the Women's Center total agency budget and 3% of our North Brevard Victims Services budget. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from council? None? Have no questions. Anybody from the public would like to speak? Again, there's nobody out there from the public.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next presenters are Life Center Academy.
Good evening.
Good evening. I am Patricia Barber, the administrator at the Life Center Academy. We are located on the Gibson Center property. We just enrolled student number 86 today. We have a lot of moving parts at the Gibson Center property. Currently, we are an umbrella up under the Christian Life Center of Titusville Church. So we have the school, which is a private school that services children kindergarten through 8th grade. Also, we are responsible for the community hours of the gym, which is from 3:30 until whenever we decide. So within those moving parts, we have a lot of things going on. One of the main things that we have outside of the school is our after-school program, where children at the school as well as children in the community can come to play in the gym. They can come for tutoring if they need extra help with homework. It is just a safe place for them to come to not be on the streets. That is our goal. Currently, our average in the afternoon for students, if I'm correct, Pastor, please, we are averaging around 80 students a day, and that is from kindergarten through high school. We also have a program on 2nd and 4th Fridays where our middle school and high school can come and hang out at the gym on Friday nights. We call it Midnight Basketball. We are approaching starting 1st and 3rd Fridays for the elementary children to have the same type of playtime on Friday nights, but it will be from 7 to 10, somewhere in that time range. So our goal is to continue to increase those numbers for our after school. Of course, as many children as we can have with a safe place to go after school, the better off we all are. So that is our first goal. And then our main goal, which is the reason why we are requesting funds through the grant, is to be able to expand our activity program throughout our summer and make it an all-day summer program, where we will have what we will call Daughters of Grace and Sons of Thunder. We would like to be able to implement a tutoring session within the day where we hire certified teachers to come in and work with those children on skills that they may be missing. As we know, one of the main issues with our students being home for the summer is what we call the summer slide, where they play all summer and come back to school and the gains that they have made have decreased because they haven't been able to keep working on those skills during the summer. So our first goal will be to make sure that they do not lose, but yet increase during the summer. During the day, our plan would be to have 2 hours where an hour for reading and an hour for math with a certified teacher. And then in the afternoons, we would have what would be known as regular summer camp, where the children can play games, interact with one another, arts and crafts, those types of things. This is a program that we have implemented before, not Daughters of Grace, but we have done Sons of Thunder, and it was very well received. It was free to the children in the community. During that time, we targeted middle school boys, and as they graduated out of the program, they actually came back to be mentors and work the summer after they would go off to high school and to college. If they chose to come back, they could. So we are going to embark on doing a Daughters of Grace at the same time on the same property and kind of incorporating the two so that we can reach more children within the community. So as I said, our main goal for the funding would be to increase our after-school program into a summer program for our students, and that would consist of the whole summer. Like I said before, our main goal is to keep children safe, to keep them educated, to keep them off of the streets. And the more that we can do that, the better off we all are. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
Yes. You may have said this. How long ago did you start your program?
Which program?
The academy, now that you currently have.
We are in year 6.
Year 6, okay.
Yes, we are in year 6. Year 1, we started out with 14 students.
Oh, wow.
And so we have increased to 86.
Okay, nice. And then that was going to be my second question was, are you doing anything to kind of measure the success of the students that you are impacting or doing any type of follow-up?
Yes, what we try to do is follow the children after they graduate from 8th grade and go on to high school. Currently, we have 5 that have graduated and gone on to high school, and we track them through their grades. Okay. They quarterly, when they get their report cards, they either text me their grades or come by and give me a copy. We see them often because when they're having struggles at the high school level, they know that we are right across the railroad track from the high school. They stop there for tutoring to get help, those types of things. So we do keep our hands on them. We try to track their progress and how they're doing in school.
So they're still able to come back after 8th grade?
Absolutely. When
Okay.
they graduate from 8th grade, anything that we have going on at the academy, we have a dance program, we have a karate program, anything that we're still doing, they can come back and be a part of.
That's awesome. Good. Good. No, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to comment, and certainly I have visited over there, and I know personally, excuse me, several of the students who graduated from last year, so I've learned a lot about the follow-through, so much so that there's a little incident not involving any of them, but Miss Patricia was at the event, and I just can't tell you how much it meant to me to see her go down the street and follow them and make sure that you don't get involved in that, you don't go there. There was nothing terrible. They did nothing wrong. I'm making that clear. But what I am trying to also make clear is there's a family affair over there. Mm-hmm. These guys talk about that school and this young lady about every day we talk. And they also know you don't put up with any nonsense. So I can't tell you how edifying it is for someone to come to our school from your area. That being said, how many do you have, say, 6 through 8?
6th through 8th grade, I currently have 24.
Okay. Obviously, one of the thoughts I would have is, and the numbers and the financing and all that would depend, but anything you can do, and you're doing that, after school activities that you would normally have if you were at Jackson or Madison or something like that. Clearly, the open gym and things, you do a lot of things.
Right.
If there's any way, that I could help or we could help or how we could help to get some sort of extracurricular activity going in a way, and that may work through some of the community activities. Mm-hmm. Willie Taylor's right over there, and there's the youth football right behind you. So maybe that's how that all works. But I'm very impressed with the program and very impressed with your commitment. It's been my pleasure to be there several times. And then to really meet these kids this year, when I could put 2 and 2 together and say, oh, that's where you came from. It's different. I'm telling you, there's a respect level you guys are teaching, and you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was just going to say, Patty, have you thought about the retired teachers, using some of those for tutoring?
I have reached out to some of the retired teachers. Currently, I have a request out to the college as well.
Okay.
For those students that may need those community hours for certain classes and those types of things to come in the afternoons. I mean, there's only so much tutoring I can do in a day, as well as my teachers. They teach all day, so by 3:30, they're exhausted. We already have a longer school day than would be typical. We don't get out of school until 3:30. We start at 8.
Wow. Okay.
So there's only so much we can do. So, yes, we have reached out to some of the retired teachers. We're in contact with some of them trying to create schedules, and we also have a request out to the college as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say that I worked or come by the facilities or touched on each of your organizations in some way or another personally, and they're all great organizations. You do a super job, and I know you took over a situation at Gibson that wasn't working, and now you got it working like a clock, so I want to tell you I appreciate that. They're all worthy of some help, how much we can give them? You're going to... Beg pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. Missed one? Okay. I'm sorry.
Our last presenter is Victory Kids Sports Foundation.
And I always give gifts. It's part of our culture because we're a sports organization. Do you mind if I pass them out?
As long as they're not worth over $125 because we'll get in trouble.
It's our etiquette, so. Oh, wow, thank you. And there's something in there about us.
Thank you. Hello. That'll come in handy.
Well, good evening. I'm Dr. Patton. I'm from Victory Kids Sports Foundation. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I'm kind of the new kid on the block. There's a lot of seasoned organizations here. So I wanted to share just a little bit about what our organization is doing already in Titusville and how we really hope to grow in the future. Our mission is pretty simple. We're an organization that's hoping to impact kids through sports, and we do that through encouragement, through teaching, through teamwork, discipline, and fun. But we have a twist on our organization, and that's through psychoeducation. So really meeting the kids where they are pro-socially and attending to those needs. Our vision also is very simple, really to empower the children who are underrepresented. A lot of the children that we work with are exposed to substance abuse. They're dealing with addiction, they're dealing with homelessness, they're in transition, they're really having a difficult time. So we come behind them and we use sports and fine arts as a vehicle to really impact that child, to get them to open up, to get them to talk about what's going on with them. Our organization has so little to do with sports and more to do with meeting families where they are. So who is Victory? We've got a lot going on. We've been pretty busy in the last year and a half. We have Camp Victory, which implements pro-social support as well as fine arts integration. We have Camp Victories all over the county. People call us to provide our sports programming. We also have sites in different parts of the county. We have after-school leagues. In Brevard Public Schools, we have a really nice partnership with them where we go into the schools and provide support to the entire school or to the after-school program. We also are a club team. We have the AAU program, which helps support us and builds funds and provides a stream of revenue for the foundation. We have traditional soccer and basketball leagues in communities, just like you would see anywhere, in churches and in backyards and in associations and things like that. We have full school day programs where we go in and we have a victory day at an elementary school, and the kids get to participate in a lot of that support and coaches that are really empathetic. And lastly, our multi-site karate program has grown pretty quickly. It's actually been extremely exciting. And not only do we have multiple sites for our karate, which is all about discipline and fun, but at the same time anti-bullying and helping kids understand how to talk and how to treat somebody, but we also have a countywide tournament where we're even having people from Georgia and other states come to our location and participate in our karate tournaments. Victory Kids Sports impacts the entire county. It's been exciting to watch it grow in a year and a half. We're in Title I schools primarily. We also are with private pay families and club players. We work with kids from really difficult backgrounds and kids that need less competition in their lives and more opportunities for encouragement, for love, and for coaches that are empathetic. So our coaches aren't screaming and yelling. It's just not our model. I'm a Division I athlete. I got a scholarship to run in college, and that was not the culture that I was brought up in, but it's the culture that the kids in the families within our organization really need. So in a year and a half, we've had a really exciting and productive year. We started a physical education program in proprietary schools as well as charter schools. We've had over 500 kids and families across the county take part in Victory programming. We've had winter, spring, and summer break camps, and we've had multiple sites for those camps. We've also had partnerships with several social service agencies, as well as received grant funding, CDBG funds from other communities, and key partnerships. And I think one of the most exciting is the partnerships also with the colleges and university, which has really helped us staff, of course. The question always comes up, how do you create a sustainable model when you're a foundation and you're asking for grant funding? And that's something that I'm really trying to learn more about. And the way in which we do that is out-of-state partnerships. I've been having conversations about communities and churches that want victories in their backyards, in their associations, in their communities. And so I'm having those conversations because that brings revenue into our organization, and it helps us really to afford to provide free programming to our school leagues. And I'm also talking to other communities about ways that we can implement Victory in their organizations and in their backyards. So there's a unique part of Victory. There's lots of sports leagues all over the county. But what's unique about Victory is our model, which is life coaches and athletic coaches. Life coaches are the ones that have backgrounds in social work, counseling, psychology, education, human services. They're people that can get on the level and look Johnny in the eyes and understand why he's crying. It has nothing to do with him missing the basket. It has everything to do with the fact that he doesn't have food at home. And life coaches are able to see that. My athletic coaches are big, beefy guys. They were Division I athletes. They were semi-pro. And they're about getting the kids to understand the fundamentals so that we know whether or not they're getting better and we can track that information. Our model is all about pro-social support and looking at those socio-emotional needs. And we're skilled and able to do that because of the training and the development that we've had in education. And then diverse and customized programs, all that means is that when we have a potential client that needs something, we're there to customize a program that will work for the kids and the families that are at that particular organization. These are just some of our current Victory Leagues. We've got one at Coquina. We've been at Coquina for 3 seasons. We're getting ready to go into another one. We've also had one at University Park in South Brevard, Sable Elementary, and Turner Elementary. So the plan is 175 kids at Oak Park Elementary. Our goal in North Brevard is to take over almost all of the Title I schools here. So we're having conversations about bringing Victory Days to as many Title I elementary schools as we possibly can. Because what we're seeing is that helps normalize their situations, and it helps take them away from the fact that they can't afford leagues after school, which is a major part of their development. We want to do a year-long program over at Oak Park where we have seasons just like you would in evening or after-school programs. And we want to implement Victory Olympics, which is our version of the field day experience, which would be really exciting for kids. Not only do we do sports with the kids, but we have a health and wellness component. So we have partnered with University of Florida, and they come out and do things to help the kids understand that the reason why you're eating healthy is so that you can do these exercises and you can do these sports. And then the socio-emotional element is bringing someone in there that has a background in social work, human services, counseling that can help the kids with conflict resolution. All of this happens on the basketball court. It's really organic. The kids love it. They don't even realize they're learning. Obviously, we track our data. We're looking at objectives and program outcomes, and we're looking at that on a daily basis when we work with the kids to see if they're improving, to see if they're having fun, and to see what things we can do better. And that's how we'll be tracking the information as we learn more about the children at Oak Park. And that was our first season. It was 152 kids at Coquina Elementary. It was a blast. So if you have any questions, I would love to answer them.
Any questions from council?
Are you currently working with Coquina? I mean, like, if we go over there, could we?
We just ended our season at Coquina. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've already had a season,
okay,
and then we're getting ready to go into a different season. Yeah.
And when would that start?
Yeah, so we'll do a season in the fall and in the spring. We've
okay,
concluded our spring programming, so we'll be back there again in the fall.
Okay.
Really, we've had so many different schools that have been interested in what we've been doing because of the uniqueness of how we implement it. We're trying to find funding to be able to provide all these programs for free. So we're having some really good conversations with people about how we can make that happen.
So each season lasts approximately how long?
Anywhere between 4 to 8 weeks.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Member Diesel?
So when you're not at a school and you're at, say, a church, and I believe you guys have just started at Indian River City, United Methodist Church.
IRC, correct.
And how do you get your numbers there? School's easy to say where they're coming from. Where are they coming from at sites like that?
Yeah, so I'm using and leveraging the networks that I've created and built in the community. And I'm also sending out peach jars. to all of the elementary schools that are within that targeted population. And I'm talking to community leaders, and they're spreading the word. I speak at a lot of different functions here in North Brevard, so that helps me get information to social service agencies, counselors, leaders, that sort of thing.
Is there a scale of if you pay, how much you pay, can you pay? Is there that sort of thing?
Absolutely. There's not only a scale, but there's actually a relationship with IRC where they've actually picked up the cost for some of the kids. So most of our church partnerships that we have several of them right now, the churches will either pay for the program and the kids will just come for free, or Victory will do all of the advertising and promotion, and we become almost essentially a ministry partner to that particular church so that we don't have to pay for the gym or for the fields or something like that.
So in the end, you don't turn anyone away?
We have never turned anyone away, no.
Okay, and I figured that. I was just, again, and I know that there's a kids' place at IRC, and I'm sure there's some core there.
Absolutely.
But the scale of payment was something that interested me, and I get that, and I thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other question? Member Stokel.
Thanks. My question, I just want to know a little bit more about what's involved in a season. Do you meet at certain times a week? I'm curious. I think this is an awesome program you're doing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I'll give you Coquina as an example since it's a North Brevard school. We get out there at 3:45. The kids come out at about 4 o'clock. And we meet with them in 30-minute rotations, which is what we would be doing at Oak Park. So it goes by age group, so 30 minutes with the kindergartners, 30 minutes with the first through second graders, etc. And we're there until 5:30, 6 o'clock. And it's usually a one night a week type of situation so that the kids can build up that anticipation and be excited about going to school that next week, knowing it's going to be a Victory Day. So it's a 30-minute rotation with the sports.
Anything else? I see no one else. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'd now like to go over a Community Development Block Grant Program fiscal year 18-19 for Community Development Neighborhood Services. The Neighborhood Revitalization Program. It would involve the target area, provide support public services such as social, educational, job training, recreational, technological, health, and case management services which encourage self-sufficiency. And then the Street Improvement Program for Public Works Department is seeking funding to continue the resurfacing of substandard roadways within the South Street target area, a total of approximately 133 miles. I'm sorry, 1.33 miles. And as you can see, there's 6 streets there. Staff would utilize approximately $172,000 in CDBG funds for 18-19. In closing, in evaluating these proposals, staff will consider if the program meets a HUD national objective. Is the program an eligible program? Does the organization have a capacity to manage the proposed program? What are the costs per unit? The number of low mod to mod income persons to be served? Do the programs represent a high need for the Titusville citizens? And does it meet a strategy and a timeliness of using funds allocated to the agency? We've presented a proposed schedule meeting to return to council with recommendations on projects and funding levels for February 13th of 2018.
Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Any questions for staff, anybody? And I don't see anything else necessary. I guess this will be the end of this meeting. We will adjourn at this point. Thank you. Thank you all for coming.